Hello, welcome back to Math 7 with Mr. Passon. Today we are continuing our expressions and equations unit. We've focused on solving one-step and two-step equations. Today we are going to be doing so with rational numbers. That means we're going to put more emphasis on dealing with the fact that the numbers can be signed, they can be fractions, they can be decimals. So equations with rationals can be solved just like any other equation. Alright, but you must follow the rules for for rational operations. So, dealing with whether it's a positive or a negative. Now, if two values have the same sign, so right now we're looking at the rules for adding. If two values have the same sign, then add and use the same sign. So, negative 3 plus negative 5 is negative 8, or negative 6 plus negative 5 is negative 11. If the signs are different, then we subtract and take the absolute value, and take the sign of the term with the greatest value. So here we've got 6 plus negative 5. Well, those are opposite. The 6 is the term further from 0. So we get 1. If they're opposite and the term further from 0 is the negative, well then we keep the negative. When subtracting, we know that we can rewrite any subtraction as the addition of the opposite. Alright, since we're adding the opposite, then we follow the rules for integers. So, for example, 6 minus 7 is 6 plus a negative 7. Negative 9 minus 11 is negative 9 plus a negative 11. Negative 3 minus a negative 8, well, it's negative 3 plus the opposite is 8. Now, let's go ahead and fill in what each one of those are. Note, opposite signs, we subtract, we keep the sign further from 0, that's negative 1. And that box is in the wrong spot. I have no idea why they do that. Alright. Let's go ahead and drop this one here. Negative 9 plus negative 11. Well, they're both negative, so we're just going to add and keep the sign, so that's negative 20. Oh, it would help if I wrote the 20. And then here we have Control Z. Negative 3 plus 8. Those are opposite signs. They subtract, but our bigger term is positive, so we end up getting 5. Alright. Now, our rules for multiplication are similar in that we've done them before. A positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. So if the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, then it's negative. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, then the answer is negative. Okay? So, reviewing all of our rules, you should be practicing these, and you should try to beat me to it. So go ahead and pause the video and get all your answers for all these ones before we go over them. Okay, so hopefully you've had enough time to pause, and if not, you're pausing now. These are the same sign, they're negative, we add and keep the sign, that's negative 25. Let's rewrite the subtraction as an addition, so that's 5 plus negative 32. Those are opposite signs, so we actually subtract. 5 minus 32, 32 minus 5 is 27. So we get negative 27. Okay? This one, we've got 14 plus negative 27. They're opposite signs, so we just subtract and we get negative 13. This one, let's go ahead and take a look. We've got, it's negative 11 plus negative 8. And that equals negative 19. Alright, let's take a look at this next one. We've got same sign, the answer is positive, so this is going to be 72. different sign, the answer is negative, so it's going to be negative 42. Let's take a look at this one. Different sign. So the answer is going to be negative. It's going to be negative 6. This one, the answer is same sign. The answer is going to be positive 5. Alright? So, now let's go ahead and do the same thing with equations. We're going to try to figure out how to solve these two-step equations. And then we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing that we've been doing before. So, look at this. We want to get the k by itself. So remember, our goal is to get k equals. So let's look at here. Well, other than the k, we have the negative 4, and that's multiplied, and the 9, which is added. So let's figure out how to get rid of those each at a time. We always want to work backwards, so we're going to try to get rid of this plus 9. We're just going to subtract 9. But if we do it on this side, we do it on this side, and we get negative 4 times k equals, and that is going to be 23. Alright, so now we want to get rid of that negative 4, so we're going to divide by negative 4. So I'm just going to write divide by negative 4. And we're going to get our new answer, k equals whatever 23 divided by negative 4 is. Now, we can go ahead and figure that out. Alright, it goes in, so it's going to be, it's a positive divided by a negative, so it's going to be negative, and it's negative 5.75 when we do that. Now, those steps weren't necessarily easy, so we should check our answer. So we're going to do negative 4 times our answer, negative 5.75, and then we are going to add 9 and ask, does that equal 32? I'm going to throw a little question mark here, and in fact I'm going to make all this text just a little bit smaller so that way it stays on one line, and then I'm going to check that work. So I get this first term, negative times a negative is positive, we multiply that out, we get 23. Is 23 plus 9 equal to 32? Yes, it is. And we are done. Alright, so the original problem, we got our answer, but there's lots of places to make mistakes, and the check is relatively simple and a good way for us to see if we got things right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Again, you should be solving it ahead of me. So think about what operation, and in fact I'm going to shrink the text on this one again so it matches. So go ahead and try to solve it. I see a subtract 14, so I'm going to add 14 to both sides. And that gives me x divided by 2 equals 34. How do I get rid of divide by 2? I multiply both sides by 2. And then I get x equals 68. Alright, so let's go ahead and check and see if that is right. So we're going to take 68 divided by 2, subtract 14, and ask, does that equal 20? Question mark. So, well then, 68 divided by 2 is 34. 34 minus 14, that does equal 20. Yes! We did get it right. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and use that to solve these. So again, pause the video. Try to solve each one of these. And every method is exactly the same as before, but notice you've got a few negative signs in here. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video, work out each one of these, and then we're going to go over them one at a time. Okay, we're going to continue in 3, 2, 1. First thing I want to do is I'm going to change the size of these. Hopefully this will already be changed in yours because I'm changing it ahead of time. But I think that 11-point font works a little bit easier. Fits everything in. So we're trying to get rid of that plus 8. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And we're going to get 3x equals negative 18. Now I'm just going to try to line up those equal signs. You don't need to, but honestly it makes it a whole lot easier to think about it. Then we're going to divide both sides by 3. So that means we're going to get x equals negative 18 divided by 3, which is negative 6. We want to check our answer. 3 times negative 6 plus 8. Does that equal negative 10? So we get negative 18 plus 8 is negative 10. Yes. Let's try that one here. First thing we want to get rid of is this minus 10. We add 10 to both sides. And we're going to get negative 2x. So remember, anytime we have a number next to a letter, it's multiplication. And that's going to equal 25. Divide both sides by negative 2. And then we're going to get x equals negative 12.5. We check our answer. Negative 2 times negative 12.5 minus 10. So negative times a negative is a positive. We get 25 minus 10. That does in fact equal 15 because we get 25 minus 10 equals 15. So far, we are on a roll. We've got 5 more problems to do. And then there's a little bit at the end there. No, 4 more problems to do. Okay. So let's take a look at this. How are we going to get rid of the plus 7? We're going to subtract 7. Now, remember that we're always working backwards. So we find the last operation that we get. And here now we get x divided by 6. Equals, well, what is negative 11 minus 7? That is negative 18. How do I get rid of a divide by 6? I multiply both sides by 6. Right? So then I'm going to get x equals, now a positive, or a negative times a positive is still negative. So this should be negative 108. We check our answer. Negative 108 divided by 6 plus 7. Well, that's does that equal negative 11? Well, we do that first part, and I'm going to just pull everything up a level because it doesn't quite fit. And, sorry. Got my spacing all messed up. Let's take a look again. We're at this problem. So we've got negative 18 plus 7. And that does, in fact, equal negative 11. Let's take a look at 14. There's 2 operations here. We want to get rid of the negative 3 and the 20. The 20 is easier to get rid of because it's the last operation. What's the opposite of adding 20? That's subtracting 20. Okay, so then we get x divided by negative 3 equals, oh, and again I should line up those equal signs. It does make things easier to see that we're doing something on each side of the equal sign. That's 10. Now we multiply both sides by negative 3, because that's how we get rid of a divide by negative 3. Oh, something went wrong. So we get x equals, well, 10 times negative 3 is negative 30. Let's take a look at this one. Again, let's check our answer. Negative 30 divided by negative 3, that's 10, plus 20, that equals 30. Yes. So we put the question mark when we're checking to remind us that that's our check. And then we see if that's right. We want to get rid of this plus 7, so we do minus 7. But anything we do on the left-hand side of an equal sign, we have to do on the right. So we get negative 2x. And that's really a times in there. Equals negative 39. Or x. Note a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Is 19.5. Okay. Now, just for time's sake, I'm going to skip the check on that one. So we can go through this one. I'm going to do plus 15. Oh. Sorry. So we see we've got two operations. We've got a divide by negative 2 and a minus. Huh. What went on there? So we've got a plus 15. But anything we do on this side, we have to do on this side. Remembering that the equal sign is my middle there. So I'm going to get x divided by negative 2. And that is going to equal negative 20. How do we get rid of a divide by negative 2? We multiply both sides by negative 2. And there we're going to get x equals 40, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this last part here. Margot solves several equations and then states that all of them have a solution of x equals 7. However, Kenneth disagrees. Determine which of the following equations have a solution of x equals 7, then justify your answer. Alright, let's go ahead and finish that. You're going to look through. There is a shortcut if you think about it, but I'm not going to cover that one. I am going to ask to see if you got it right, and I will talk to you next time.